morning. This is Primetime Asia. I'm Nurfida Fendi, and this week in Primetime Asia, China hopes the Philippines will seek a solution to the South China Sea dispute, as the current situation does not benefit people from either side. Also in China, Alibaba formally begins its 24-hour Singles' Day sale marathon. The shopping day, similar to Cyber Monday and Black Friday in the United States, has ballooned since it was launched by Alibaba in 2009, with many rivals staging promotions of their own. Last year, Alibaba reported a record $9.3 billion in sales on its platforms during the event, and they are expected to reach an even higher number this year. Traffic in various regions across northern China was disrupted by extreme weather, with snow and fog hampering motorists and stranding vehicles on roads. A company in China plans to introduce driverless cars in enclosed compounds such as housing estates and hotels that will reduce accidents due to human error. Katani Knox has the details and more.
China hopes the Philippines can make a wiser choice in seeking a solution to the South China Sea dispute, said Wang Yi, the Chinese foreign minister, on Tuesday. Wang made the comment on the sidelines of his meetings with the Filipino president and secretary of foreign affairs in Manila. Wang called it a deadlock impeding China-Philippines ties from being improved. He said China did not want to see it getting worse, becoming a problem that defies a solution. The key to solving this depends on the Philippines' action, as it should undo what it has already done. The current situation in China-Philippine relations is not what the people of both countries expect to see, and is jeopardizing the interests of the Philippines in the long run, said Wang. China attaches importance to its relationship with the Philippines. They want to work together with the Philippines to overcome the difficulties and re-establish a normal, stable and healthy bilateral friendship. They also affirm that China agrees to sit down with the Philippines through talks and dialogue to sincerely discuss and seek a solution to any issue undermining China-Philippines relations, including the South China Sea issue, Wang said. There are no situations where the door for negotiation has been closed or solutions where talks and dialogue have run out. Instead, talks and negotiations are the only feasible way to solve this problem, other than that no way will work. Wang hoped China-Philippines relations can get back on track of healthy development as soon as possible. Amidst glitz and glamour, e-commerce giant Alibaba formally began its Singles' Day 24-hour sales marathon at midnight on Wednesday, November 11th, an event expected to generate record-breaking revenues, even as the Chinese economy slows. The event, marking the most celebrated day of nationwide consumerism in a country still under the one-party rule of the Chinese Communist Party, was held in Beijing's Olympic Water Cube Aquatic Center. The event was attended by foreign celebrities such as 007 star Daniel Craig. Duncan Clark, chairman of investment advisory Strategy Consulting, who was invited to speak at the event, said that he would be surprised if this year's sales failed to surpass last year's records, saying that although the Chinese economy has been slowing, the number of people shopping online has been increasing at a much faster rate. Also, the number of products available online has been increasing every year, he said. Clark said that the functioning realm of e-commerce and its influence on people's daily lives will only continue to expand. This year, Alibaba shoppers had already spent a total of 10 billion yuan, $1,571,301,800 in just 12 minutes 28 seconds after Singles' Day started. This year's trend will be watched closely for clues about private consumption as the world's second biggest economy heads for its slowest growth in more than 20 years. Official data shows retail sales grew more than 10% in September from a year earlier, but other indicators, such as auto sales, have shown big drops. Traffic in various regions across northern China was disrupted by extreme weather, with snow and fog hampering motorists on Monday. Snowfall arrived in multiple areas of northeast China's Heilongjiang province on Monday, with meteorological authorities issuing warnings of icy roads and several highways subsequently closed. The Ningxia Autonomous Region in northwest China issued a red fog alert, as multiple cities in its north and central region saw visibility drop below 50 meters in many locations. Highways, railroads and flights were all affected to various extents by the conditions. In central China's Henan, fog hit various cities in southwest parts of the province on Monday morning, slowing traffic in Nanyang City. Shanxi, another province in northern China, has also been affected by snow followed by fog since Thursday. Several sections of the highway were closed and some vehicles were temporarily held up whilst waiting for the weather to improve.
Robots
are no longer a far-flung future concept and are taking their place on China's workforce. The country's largest property developer, China Vanke, is investing in its own robots to do certain jobs in the face of a labor shortage in the world's most populated country. This driverless car is among the robots that Vanke is aiming to bring in. The company says its patrol car has finished testing and it plans to introduce a floor-sweeping robot later this month. The driverless car, which features 6 seats and a large space in the center, can run up to about 35 kilometers an hour. Zhang Jinming, who helms the project, said they hope this would be the future of housing estates. It is safer, will not cause accidents that are due to human errors, such as having drivers who are drunk or sleepy, and can save labor costs, he said. Unlike Google's driverless cars that are designed to run on public roads, Vanke's cars aim to transport people within an enclosed compound. The car is guided by GPS as well as magnetism. Magnets can be placed 1 meter apart along a fixed route to guide the car. The car runs on electricity provided by solar panels. One charge is enough for a day's use. A small radar at the front of the car can also detect obstacles ahead and trigger an emergency stop. Vanke already has robot chefs in operation at several of their canteens. They're also planning a robot-managed hotel in Shenzhen, scheduled to open in 2017.
Welcome back. Investigations are underway after the death of a Kurdish asylum seeker last Sunday night at Australia's controversial immigration detention centre that sparked rioting and wounded 5 people. Australian Immigration Minister Peter Dutton said a hardened criminal population that occupied the immigration detention centre on Christmas Island and people who think that they could act outside of the law would have another thing coming. He paid tribute to all officers who had played a role in restoring calm to the centre. Also in Australia, a dramatic shelf storm descended over Sydney, prompting emergency calls for help and a severe weather warning to be issued. A Swedish national has been killed and another seriously injured while riding in a shopping trolley that hit a car. Prince Charles and his wife, the Duchess of Cornwall, Camilla, enjoyed high tea and a cheering crowd on the penultimate day of their New Zealand tour. And more than 2,000 people have gathered in Seoul to make 25 tons of kimchi, a spicy fermented cabbage dish in South Korea that will be given out to those in need. Katani Knox has these details and more. Stay tuned.
More than 2,000 people gathered in front of Seoul City Hall on Friday, November 6th, to make 25 tons of kimchi. The traditional dish, made from spicy paste, garlic, ginger fish sauce and fermented cabbage, will be handed out to families in need, said organizers. United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, added the making and sharing of kimchi to its intangible cultural heritage list in 2013. Seoul Metropolitan Government Officer Lee Ha-nim, one of the organizers, said the event had been set up at Seoul Square, the foreground of Seoul, to remember and revive the making and sharing of kimchi. Today, about 1,000 foreigners have participated, he said, and 2,000 people have signed up. 21-year-old Tatiana Seeger-Lathrop from Denmark said she enjoyed making kimchi. Being with so many people and enjoying the Korean tradition was nice. Other participants said they were happy that the kimchi they made would go to the needy and would participate again next time. South Koreans consume about 1.48 million tons of kimchi a year, the the World Institute of Kimchi said.
Yeah, alrighty.
Australian authorities have regained control of a controversial immigration detention centre, officials said on Tuesday, after the death of an asylum seeker sparked rioting that led up to at least 5 injuries and widespread damage. Reinforcements were rushed in after fences at the centre on the remote Australian outpost of Christmas Island were torn down and fires were lit, forcing guards to abandon the facility and allowing access to vulnerable inmates by other detainees. One detainee required evacuation from the island for medical treatment. No officers were injured. Asylum seekers are a hot political issue in Australia, where successive governments have vowed to stop them reaching the mainland, sending those intercepted on unsafe boats to camps on Christmas Island, and more recently Manus Island in Papua New Guinea and Nauru in the South Pacific. Christmas Island segregates detainees seeking political asylum, many of whom have fled from war-torn regions in the Middle East and Asia, from foreigners facing deportation for a variety of crimes. Australian Immigration Minister Peter Dutton focused blame primarily on violent criminal detainees rather than asylum seekers. Unrest at those facilities, which as recently as Monday drew criticism from the United Nations over alleged human rights violations, is not uncommon.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
A time-lapse video shot by Sydney resident Nathaniel Chen shows a huge set of shelf storm clouds as they cover Sydney. Chen shot the video from his office. There were no reports of major damage from the storm, said the local media, but emergency services had received about 40 calls for assistance in coastal areas. Australia's ABC said a severe weather warning for Sydney, issued by emergency services, has been cancelled. One Swedish national has been killed and another seriously injured while riding in a shopping trolley that hit a car in the early hours of Tuesday morning, November 10th, Australian media reported. One man who was inside the trolley was thrown out and died at the scene, while the other man was riding behind it and remains in hospital in a serious condition. Police have not released the names of the men. Both are 28-year-olds.
We're dealing with what is just a tragic incident, both for the close group of friends and the families concerned.
The driver of the car was not injured and the police investigation continues. Prince Charles and his wife, the Duchess of Cornwall, Camilla, enjoyed high tea in New Plymouth on Monday, the penultimate day of their New Zealand tour. The royal couple joined around 500 guests at an event called Tea with Taranaki on the lawn at Brooklands Park before a public walkabout. Later in the day, the prince travelled to the Trewithen dairy farm, where he met some local school children and helped plant a tree, TVNZ reported. The royal couple wrapped up their New Zealand visit in Auckland on November 10th before heading to Sydney for a 5-day tour.
That's it for this week's Primetime Asia. We'll be back at the same time next week with more news and features from the Asia-Pacific region. For more news, you can visit our website at www.rtbnews.rtb.gov.bn. I'm Nurfida Effendi, wishing you a good week ahead and good night. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.